as we release this information saying they can't confirm or deny if she's on it, they don't want to give us any details, the goons in the deep state leaked that very information to the Washington Post to try to ruin Tulsi Gabbard's nomination. Continuing along the lines of confirmation hearings, Tulsi Gabbard had her confirmation hearing this week. Now, Tulsi is a former Democrat. She's been a critic of the intelligence establishment. Kind of has I don't necessarily agree with all of her analyses, but she's asking the right questions. As I observed on social media, Tulsi Gabbard is not being opposed because she has the wrong views. She's being opposed because she will be asking the right questions in the position of Office of Director of National Intelligence. An office, by the way, which doesn't have much in the way of power, other than the power of the pulpit that she will have, and the power to ask tough questions that she will have. She is that office to the degree they know what they are doing. Sometimes the staff over there doesn't know what it's doing. It's one of these new creations from the after 9/11. They basically control and help control the flow of intelligence products to the president and other consumers of them in the United States government. I mean, she really can't tell the CIA director what to do, but she can gather information and call for information and intelligence information. That's kind of my general impression. And she's been a critic of the intelligence community. And this was the end of her opening statement, right? Do you have that one where she talked about the issue of being a puppet?
Before I close, I want to warn the American people who are watching at home. You may hear lies and smears in this hearing that'll challenge my loyalty to and my love for our country. Those who oppose my nomination imply that I am loyal to something or someone other than God, my own conscience, and the Constitution of the United States. Accusing me of being Trump's puppet, Putin's puppet, Assad's puppet, a guru's puppet, Modi's puppet, not recognizing the absurdity of simultaneously being the puppet of 5 different puppet masters. The same tactic was used against President Trump and failed. The American people elected President Trump with a decisive victory and mandate for change. The fact is, what truly unsettles my political opponents is I refuse to be their puppet.
And the deep state and a lot of folks here in town are upset because she doesn't like Section 702. And Section 702, I'm sure you've heard it, and you're probably not sure what everyone's talking about. Well, they don't really want you to understand what they're talking about. Now, I'm not as much of a critic of Section 702 as kind of a realist as to what it's actually doing. And let's stop pretending it does what it says it's being done. Let's stop pretending it's working the way its supporters say. Section 702 is an aspect of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. And essentially it's a program that provides guidelines for the president's collection of foreign intelligence data of targets abroad. And the issue isn't, to me, the prospect that the president's able to do that. The issue to me isn't the prospect that the president is able, as a result of having the power to do that, inherent power in my view. He doesn't need Section 702 to spy on foreign nationals abroad, or even here, if there's a national security component or foreign intelligence component. And so there is, to me, not a real question as if you're an American and you're communicating with foreign nationals abroad who are the subject of foreign intelligence interests to the United States, that you're going to be monitored. I mean, I would presume if I called up the Prime Minister of England or the United Kingdom, the NSA would be listening to my call. I guess they pretend not to spy on the Prime Minister of UK, but you know what I mean. But what's the problem with 702 then? Well, in order to effect the president's lawful authority as commander-in-chief to spy on foreigners, they've concocted a massive collection of data that comprises essentially everything you've written in a database, every phone call you've made in a database. And I don't even think it needs to go abroad. They just keep it. And let's say because it's so classified, it's hard to tell exactly what they're doing. But let's just say it's just data that goes abroad. They keep it. And then they go and look for stuff in it of interest, if there's supposedly an intelligence reason to do so. And of course, that's where the rubber meets the road. So if the issue was Tom Fitton talking to the Prime Minister of Great Britain, and that became a point of collection, and something I said was interesting to the president or his people who are charged with protecting our national security, that would be made available to them. Someone could look it up and be made available to them. It's quite another matter to have all this data forever and a day in a database, billions and billions of emails, text messages, phone call recordations, and have someone say, I wonder who Tom Fitton was talking to abroad. I'm just going to Google his name, or the equivalent of Google in these databases. Prior abuses of these 702 databases, as I call them, include analysts who were checking on their exes. Tens and thousands, hundreds of thousands of abusive inquiries outside the law by the intelligence establishment. So Americans are getting caught up in this foreign intelligence surveillance, and Section 702 allows the maintenance of those communications, the data, and because the deep state is inherently corrupt, it's not safe. It's not used for the purposes it's supposed to be used for. And it can be used for even purposes that they say, well, you know, he has inherent authority, but if we want to use it to criminally prosecute someone, maybe it might be useful. Now, they say they try to mitigate the involvement of American citizens in terms of minimize, if, for instance, I call the Prime Minister of England, of the UK, and they've got the content of the call, and they provide it to a consumer, that, let's say, the national security advisor to the president. They might, because they don't think he has a need to know, say, Subject A called the Prime Minister and talked about this topic. We caught it. Unless they decide, or the consumer wants the name unmasked. And that's what the Biden gang and the Obama gang were doing, because both Joe and Barack were doing this, and their people, unmasking data to try to get at information that would be hurtful to President Trump's political campaigns. So that may be more of an explanation than you want on Section 702, but that's what the issues are. So when someone says we got to end Section 702, I say it doesn't matter because the president has the authority to do these surveillance operations anyway, constitutionally. And the data is going to be somewhere stored. And what is the solution? We need federal agencies that are lawfully run in a way that respects the rule of law and the civil liberties of American citizens. Now, you might say, Tom, you're naive, that can't be done. Well, that may be true, but I'm just highlighting what the issues are. So the debate about 702, I don't think there's any one right position on it in terms of allowing it to continue versus ending it, because I don't think ending it solves the problems the way those who oppose it think it does. And, you know, we get a little bit of this flavor of the reason, you know, of course now, Tulsi is a bigger critic. You know, we've highlighted how the CIA sped along the review, the security review of the letter signed by the 51 ex-intelligence officials, falsely suggesting that the Hunter Biden laptop was a Russia disinformation story. And the CIA helped move that along. We had the fake intelligence targeting Trump with Russia, Russia, Russia. It wasn't just the FBI and Justice Department. There wasn't an intelligence agency that wasn't involved in trying to take out Trump. So we need someone like Tulsi who understands that. And Tulsi suggests, or her testimony suggests, and her record suggests, she does understand it, even though I don't necessarily agree with her about all her foreign policy views. But to be fair to her, I probably haven't studied him closely enough to know what she really thinks about stuff, and have been relying on headlines here and there. But all I know is that President Trump wants her. She seems to understand the problems of the deep state, so she should be given a go. Here's Democrat Senator, I think it's Mark Kelly, questioning her.
My concern has to do with the tendency to repeat Russian and Syrian, and even in some cases, I think we'll get into in the closed session, Iranian information, and to discount what comes from our intelligence community.
Senator, every American deserves to know that people in our own government were providing support to our sworn enemy, Al-Qaeda. That should not be acceptable by anyone.
Yeah. And then here's another comment she made that is, I think, worthwhile.
For too long, faulty, inadequate, or weaponized intelligence have led to costly failures and the undermining of our national security and God-given freedoms enshrined in the Constitution.
So, for the life of me, I don't know why anyone would vote against her. I mean, I think she's still active in the military, has had national security clearances her entire career. And the irony is this. Well, I'm going to get to the irony. So our angle on this is that Tulsi Gabbard is a truth teller, and so the deep state hates her. She has political influence and therefore is a target. And there were reports she was put on a watch list, Open Skies watch list, a TSA program, and she exposed it. And we asked questions about it and got the runaround. And we sued for the records. I talked about this just a few weeks ago. And after we sued, we finally got records back. And they were they were responsive, but essentially they told us, we can't tell you anything about this Open Skies program or anything else because what she said, they said they can't confirm or deny. It's called the Glomar exception. Because to confirm or deny something is something they don't want to have to do because the program is secret. I'm trying to look for the cover. This is a letter from the Department of Homeland Security. Dear Counsel, this is the final response to your Freedom of Information Act request to the Department of Homeland Security, Office of Intelligence and Analysis. The office can't confirm or deny the existence of records that would tend to confirm a particular individual's status on or off a federal watch list, including Quiet Skies, which are protected by statute and therefore exempt from disclosure. DHS-INA, the agency, conducted a search for records responsive to the FOIA requests that do not tend to confirm or deny individual status on or off federal watch list and found no responsive records. So we're not getting anything from them. Transportation Security Administration did give us some records about Open Skies. They gave us the same type of language here. And then they produced responsive records that don't say something specific about someone being on the list or remove that information. They didn't see, quote, foreseeable harm, and they're worried about the privacy of Tulsi Gabbard. And this is what they gave us. Look. I don't know if you can call up those pages from the TSA. But you can see here, there's nothing there. Scroll down. You can see the pages blank. Blank. A few press, they got a press inquiry or two once Tulsi disclosed it. But they don't give us any documents. let me get to the link, because Tulsi said in her, she had posted something. I think I quoted it in this release. On August 4th, 2024, it was reported that several federal air marshal whistleblowers have come forward with information showing that former U.S. Representative and presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard is currently enrolled in the Quiet Skies program. So rather than track terrorists, they were tracking a critic of the intelligence community. Isn't it ironic that a critic of the intelligence community may now be a key leader in the intelligence community? And someone who is victimized by this same intelligence community with retaliatory, in my view, operations and spying and watching her? According to the DHS website, Quiet Skies is a tool that allows the Federal Air Marshal Service to more efficiently deploy law enforcement resources to focus on travelers who may present an elevated risk of aviation security. I want to know who in the TSA, who in the Biden administration thought that for 1 second Tulsi Gabbard presented an increased risk of aviation security. Who are they fooling? Purely political and corrupt. And so literally the day or 2 weeks after, I guess we got these documents a week or two ago, as we release this information saying they can't confirm or deny if she's on it, they don't want to give us any details, the goons in the deep state leaked that very information to the Washington Post to try to ruin Tulsi Gabbard's nomination. They detailed that she was on the watch list for at least 2 weeks for someone she met in the Vatican. I don't even know if that's true or not. So they tell us that we can't get that information because it would hurt our national security, hurt their intelligence gathering, and hurt the privacy of Tulsi Gabbard or anyone else. And what do? These same people who made those decisions or had access to that information? It's not clear if it was internal or from the Senate Democrats. I don't know. But when you give it to the Congress, you know it's going to get leaked. So that's one way to launder information. They tell the American people, you can't get access to the information, but they leak the same stuff illegally to try to ruin her life. It is not stopping. The deep state has not gone away, people. The deep state is still operating, trying to destroy the rule of law and retaliate and ruin those who want to call them out. So I think Tulsi's going to get, no, I think she'll get confirmed. I don't know for sure. RFK Jr., also a victim of deep state and Biden banana republic abuse, I think is still likely to be confirmed. I don't see any reasons not to confirm them. But if you have issues about who should be confirmed or how quickly the process should move, you need to communicate with your senators. Share your views one way or the other at 202-224-3121. If you don't know who your senators are, the operator will help you figure it out. You can go online, figure it out as well, and call the senators' offices directly. Be persistent, consistent, and firm. There are Republicans who are still confused about whether they're going to vote for reformers and Trump's nominees, for example. You can find their lists. I don't want to throw out names because those names change from hour to hour, so by the time you hear this, those names might change. But figure out who they are. If you're a constituent, let them know what you think about what they're thinking. And if they're doing the right thing, say thank you. So I hope Tulsi Gabbard gets in. I hope Kash Patel gets in. I think RFK is going to do a pretty good job. He's going to be asking the right questions. Would he have been my first pick? I don't know. But he certainly knows where the corruption is. And Trump will keep him in line if he wants to go off into some liberal wilderness on some topics. And of course, we'll keep him in line as well. So we'll see how that all turns out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.